Hello friends, in this video I will be talking about CISSP exam strategy, the strategy which worked for me and helped me to pass this exam. I'm not claiming this strategy to be universal. Everyone has his own style of studying, own style of making notes, and own style of keeping memory map and practicing question and everything. So everyone approaches the same exam in different ways, but there are some universal things. There are some experiences which are universally applicable in all the exam, right? So I will be sharing those experiences with you. We all prepare very hard for the exam and wait for this letter to come to our inbox, and I will be sharing with you how your exam strategy can translate into success. Again, not claiming that this is the only way to success, but that this is something which worked for me. So let's just straight away jump to the whiteboard or the drawing board, which I say, and let's see what we can do. Like, what is my own personal experience, and is if there is any takeaway you can take. My approach is a minimalistic approach. I approach in every situation in life in a very minimalistic way. Like, I don't want to go for many things. I just want to focus very precisely what is expected and what I can deliver with my own capabilities. So yeah, let's go to the drawing board and see what I have to share with you, and I hope this will be useful for everyone. So before I start recommending what which content to follow, which content to not follow, we all have this dream of getting this letter, which I got in 30th of December. This was year end, and I was preparing for this exam starting February, right? So my journey started in February 2021. That was the time when this COVID situation in India was very bad. My whole family was actually COVID infected, and it was a very tense situation. And my job was also good. I was in a technical role, deploying security solutions for Optus. But I was having this dream and desire to go into cybersecurity, and I started working in those troubling time, right? I also catch COVID at that time, and basically when I was in COVID, I was spending time with Sybex, Sybex ninth edition, Mike Chappell's book, and some of the materials from Luke Ahmed, his book, how to think like a manager. I highly recommend that book. So those were the tough time. In those tough time, I was preparing, and I started in February, and I finished the book, the Cybex ninth edition book, by the end of August. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Right, I took 7 months because I was working and I was having family commitment. I have 3 kids, so considering everything, it took me 7 months to finish the book. And from August to December, effectively, like when I appeared for the exam, I was doing question practice, practicing questions, plus watching YouTube videos by some famous great people like Prab Nair, Coffee Shot. So his session with Luke Ahmed, like an hour long session, how to think like a manager. Very good videos. I will recommend for to everyone. Now, doing all this thing, it was not guaranteed that I will pass the exam, but some magic happened, and by the grace of God Almighty Line, you know, I passed this exam. And when I was doing this exam, I was answering questions, and I was not sure that I will pass. When I was at 70th question, I was thinking that I have to reappear for the exam because I was not getting confidence in answering the question. It was all going guesswork, 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 and I was like, "Nah, I can't clear this exam. I will fail." But at exact 100th question, exam stopped, and I got this pass certificate, which I was very happy. And after a few months, I got this um, certificate. right? This is what is the end objective of whole preparation, and a new chapter actually begins in applying all those knowledge which we gain, right? So let's go to the philosophy of a strategy which I followed in this exam. Basically, if if you look my screen here, I have written two words. One is called courage, and another is commitment. So these two things are very pivotal, very important in any life endeavor. Like whatever we do in our life, if we have courage and if we have commitment, we can achieve anything. This whole aspiration of humanity to go beyond the boundary of this universe, landing on moon, Mars, and then going deep inside our own cellular structure to diagnose different diseases and everything, it's all courage. And there are people who are committed to it and they are working round the clock. And with this courage and commitment, we are seeing various development in the planet, in the whole humanity. Now, in our life or as well, whatever, if we want some change to happen, we should have courage and commitment. Courage is a very intangible aspect. We can't explain it biologically or scientifically. It's something which comes from our own soul, our own conscious life experience. And commitment is basically uh, our desire to do that some action at some time. If we are very strict in achieving the action driven result, so we say that we are committed, right? So when I see this word commitment, I envision this with action and time. If we want to do some action, then it's a dream. This is what we want to do, right? We want to pass the exam. That's one of the dream. But if we don't put a timeline, if we don't put our effort in terms of weeks, month, year, or quarter, then it's not a commitment. It's basically a daydreaming, right? So if we break down our activity in actions and we assign some time, like we have 8 domains, we fix our time that okay, I will finish the 8 domains in 6 months. We may not succeed. We may only finish 3 domains by the end of 6 months. That's acceptable, but we are committed because we put some time and we try to achieve that time, right? So this is how the whole philosophy of courage and commitment is, which I followed in this preparation. And I thought that I will finish the book in 3 months time, like February, March, April, and by the end of May or June I will appear for exam. But it never happened for me. It took me February to August, right? This whole month. So it was stressed. I was a bit frustrated that I'm not able to cover the course in limited time. But anyway, if end well, all well. So yeah, so that's courage and commitment. Now there are these 7 courage which I took from one of the book, 7 acts of courage, which I read in 2001, I think. In my first year of engineering, I was visiting one of the nearest library. It's called Markazi Maktaba Islamia Library near my home in Delhi. And I got this book, and this book really, helped me in achieving many things in my life. I'm not a big celebrity or a big achiever in life so far, but whatever little I did, this concept really helped me. So we should have this 7 acts of courage. The book say we should first dream. So the dream in terms of CISSP exam is to get this pass certificate, right? So I can just connect this here. I'm just making this so that we can link what I'm talking, right? So and then the ultimate dream is to see ourselves as a security professional, to receive this golden certificate basically. Now when we dream And people say that there are some people who daydream. In Hindi or Urdu, we say khayali pulao pakana, right? There is no pulao, but we are just making it in our mind, khayali pulao pakana. So if the dream is just a dream and we fail to see the current realities, right, then it's a daydreaming, right? If I want to be a pilot, just I want to be a pilot, but my reality is that I cannot afford a pilot training, then that dream is a daydreaming because I'm not aware of my reality, right? So if I'm going for a CISSP exam, we should not put ourselves out of the realistic situation we are in, right? So if you are preparing for this exam, but your immediate job challenges are in such a way that you want some other certification, like you want Azure certification or AWS certification, or you want to be a CCIE, and that's something which is really required to sustain your bread and butter, or to be in job. So that your reality is basically contradicting your dream. Even though in that situation you can pursue your dream, people have achieved thing in in a very sharp contrast to the reality they live in. But those are exceptions. You could be exception. I'm not saying that you can't. But addressing the current reality is a pragmatic approach. You should know what your current realities are. This is one aspect. Another aspect is to know what your capabilities are. Are you able to give the required time for a study or not? If you are not, by any means, you can't give your time. So it means your current reality is not in line with your dream. So either your dream has to be so strong and you have to be so passionate to achieve it that you bulldoze your current reality, or you take some practical approaches to maneuver certain things and make your reality in line with your dream, right? So knowing the current reality makes the dream something which is achievable. If you don't know your current reality, you live in a daydreaming situation, right? Now you know your dream, you know your current reality, right? Your reality is in terms of like if you have everything in your play in the place, like you have time, you have money, and you can go for it, then the next reality is what you are trying to achieve. So you should know the syllabus of CISSP, and you should choose the first primary reference material, right? Let me write it down here. I call it primary reference material. You have to be very cautious about this. Unfortunately, there are no like there is no there is no lot of choices available. There are few books you can refer, right? But when you go and make some book as a primary reference material for your preparation, you should first read the blurb of the book or few chapters, like one chapter, and see if its language, if the book's vocabulary, language, diction, and the way the book is written is suitable to your taste or not. If it is not, then you have to choose another book, right? But your primary reference material has to be only one book. If you are studying the content of CISSP with 3 books and 4 books at the same time, either you are a genius or you are a loser. You can't be in between. So you have to choose very carefully one book. So the books which are available for CISSP, actually I bought a lot of book for CISSP. What I chose is Sybex 9th edition book. This book basically. So Sybex 9th edition book is the best book to my opinion. And if you ask me why, number one, it covers the whole syllabus. Number two, it gives a logical sequence of the topics so that you can relate things, right? There is one drawback in the book, that the book is not written in domain wise fashion. It's written in some chapter wise fashion, and those chapters actually are related with each other, like there is a sequence in there. But if you follow this book, you will find least resistance in understanding the concepts, right? The concepts. If you want to really understand the concepts, this is the best book. Now, when you understand the concepts, the next thing you have to understand the context, right? Let me write it down here. So this book really help in understanding the concepts. I'm not saying that there are not the other book like the CBK or Sean Harris book do not help you understand the concept. They are equally helpful, but this helped me actually. So this is my own personal experience that this book really helped me in understanding the core concepts of CISSP. Then you have to understand the context. How you will understand the context? The limited context building exercise is there in the book. You will see some examples, some certain things. But to understand the concept in a broader way, you have to either it relate it to your own life experience, or you have to listen to some experts who are already there in the field of information security, cyber security, or some good trainers. They will really help you to give the context of this whole CISSP syllabus. That's where the famous quotation in Hindi in India, people say, "Bina guru ke gyan nahi milta hai," right? So you need a teacher who can actually show you a torch to focus on the right in the right direction and get the required context to understand the concepts, right? So this book is something which I found very useful in understanding the concepts and building the context. CBK is the way CBK is written is more context oriented. You can refer that as well. But I will suggest if you are coming from an Indian subcontinent background, it's more likely that this book is going to help you. And there are other books as well, you can make a reference of it. Now when you build your concept and context, then the other thing is that you document what you think in your mind, right? When you document what you think in your mind, what's going to happen is that you are using all your intellectual faculties like reasoning, eyes, hands, mouth, and everything in in giving a personal interpretation of what you think of the subject, right? So I made a like I'm good in drawing visio drawing, if you know, because I'm coming from a network and security background. That was my day in day out work to draw visio drawings. So I put everything in a nice visio drawing. The whole CISSP book is actually captured in a visio file for me. And this tool which I'm using here is good notes. I have written some good amount of good notes which I didn't capture in Visio file. So Visio file is like I will say 60 to 70% I have captured, and rest of the thing I have written. I made handwritten note on good notes using my Apple Pencil and iPad. So this exercise actually gives you a personal sense of ownership to the concepts you study in the book, right? So this is very, very, very important. If you don't do it, you don't own it. If you don't own it, then when you go to exam, the exam pressure and anxiety will be like will be like a hot surface where everything will evaporate. Pooh, gone, right? So you have to contain it in some form. People who are good in speaking, good in memorizing without writing will work for them. But most of the people, like the normal people like me and you, I think making notes is very important. Now where we were in reality. So this is all I'm addressing, the current reality, right? Now when you face current reality head on, that's called confrontation. You are actually confronting the content, the subject, in understanding it, understanding the concept, context, and keeping it in memory. Some people, some trainers say, I have seen some videos, and they say that don't go and memorize things. understand them, right? I think I would like to make a small correction there. Memorizing is important. You have to memorize, but don't stop at memorizing. If you think that if you memorize and you will pass the exam, then you are actually again in a I will say in a limbo. You are actually just dreaming, and you want to restrict yourself in your inability. So don't do that. Memorizing is important. You have to know what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. You should know the definition, how you put those terms forward, right? What is the image which is made in your mind when someone says integrity, when someone says confidentiality? So that is important. That is the concept you should know, and you should know by word how to explain it. Right? This is important. It's no, if someone says that it's not important, I don't buy this point. But if you stop just there, okay, I understand what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and that's enough for me to pass the exam, then you are wrong. You have to think about those concepts in real life contexts, in real life context, so that you can understand the applicability of these terms in real life situation. That's what is expected from CISSP, right? So that's confrontation. You are confronting the topics, the subjects, and you should have courage for that. So you should have courage to dream that you will pass the exam first thing. This is number one. Then you should know the current reality. You should know your time, budget, books, your primary reference material, and then you confront with your own personality, your own intellectual faculties to the subject. When you confront, then you are confronted by the difficulties of the subject. Cryptography. I mean, like people who are not from network and security background, I can understand the pain. Understanding the database concepts, the table, primary reference, and matching the table and key values, data deduplication, RAID. So people who are coming from those background, they can easily understand those concepts. If they are confronted, they win. But if they are not coming from that background, what's going to happen? It's going to build frustration, right? So how we deal with that frustration? We need courage to be confronted, right? So third was confront, and fourth, you build this courage to be confronted. From where this courage will come? This courage will come from the degree of intensity of your dream, right? If your dream is really high, no, I want to achieve this, I want to smash this, then you will be having this courage to be confronted. Now, when you prepare for this exam, every affair in our life is a love-hate relationship. If some person is coming to me, no, Rashid, you have to prepare like this, not like this. And if he's saying something which suits me, I will love that person. If he's saying something which is not suiting me or my style, or if I don't like that person based on his some views, political, religious, or whatever, we develop a kind of hatred, and that's very dangerous. So we have to always have an open mind to accept all the criticism, to accept all the challenges people throw on our face, and love them, because they are actually putting some suggestion. There may be some evil people, bad people, but they are bad to their own self. But if they say something, if it's something logically we think that it's not making sense to me, that's okay. But we should have this courage to love everyone, courage to love the subject, courage to love our dream, courage to love our competitor, courage to love our people who are criticizing us. Then everything will seem easy. We will not waste our time in negativity, right? So this is also important. uh, Basically, we can talk a lot on this subject, but in terms of CISSP, it's not something that requires a lot of explanation. Now then, we should have a courage to learn and grow. uh, when you study for CISSP, people, the general principle of CISSP, it's a mile long and inch deep. So you have to cover a lot of ground, and but you don't have to go into very much detail. So you should have this courage to learn and grow. It means if you apply this act of courage in CISSP, the way I see it is, you should have courage to and not get bored with SDLC if you are not from software background. SDLC is boring, right? To me, at least, like software development life cycle. Even if I if I think myself as a programmer, I will be more interested in doing programs and fixing bugs and the interesting concepts of like the object-oriented programming and other things. But basically, what I want to say that if you are not from a particular domain and you are forced to study that domain, then you should have courage to learn and grow in that field as well, right? And then you should have courage to act. Number 7, right? So I I basically try to put this in the seven OSI type layer, like what you should have to pass this exam. I gave you this idea of the books you can follow. This book is the best book to my experience. Now you should have some reference material as well for solving questions, practicing question. Now this book is sorry, not book. This app is very very important app. Now when it comes to practicing question, what happens is you have Boson, you have Mr. Thor, uh, you have Sybex standard app, right? And there are many questions on internet, right? Scary questions on internet. I have seen some question from Adam Gordon, long questions, like big question, right? I'm not saying that those questions are something which is bad. No, I'm not saying that. Actually, whatever comes, you just accept it. Like when I explained this courage to love, right? Love them. Just hug them, hug the question first. Okay, I want to solve this question first. Now, what I mean by having some sort of negative connotation with a lot of internet question is the question should actually the practicing question should actually strike on the key concept, and it should give you an idea of context, right? So if a question is designed in a way that it is talking about some concepts and it is talking about some context in which the concept is applied, then it's something worth to invest time in. Otherwise, if some question is that, okay, what type of material is used for a door to safeguard for certain threat? Now the type of materials to make a door or window, what height it should be and everything, this is all information based question. Information is also important in CISSP questions, right? There are some information based question, but they are very less likely to come. Right? Most of the questions are concept oriented and context oriented. So if we go into questions which are useless and which are just there on internet, it's not coming from a valid reference or valid author or a reputed author, then we have seen that people are doing business around the insecurities people develop while they prepare for CISSP exam. I will say this app is the best app you should go for first. It has got more than I think 5,000 question, right? Personally, I have done only two things to pass CISSP exam. I have done Sybex 9th edition book. I have done these two books as something which I took as a primary reference material. Plus, Luke Ahmed, How to Think Like a Manager, and the famous great His Holiness Mr. Prabh Nair, right? I will say that his coffee shots are really strong. You know, uh, you should watch those videos if you really want to pass the exam. Now, these two things are, if you take as a primary reference material, life will be good for CISSP. And of course, you have to make your own notes, which I explained here. This book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, it will help in all certifications. Actually, this is a book you should read it or listen it as an audiobook daily. Like the religious people, they do like they take their holy book every day, read some chapters. Like Hindus do Gayatri Mantra, Muslims do some recite Surah Baqarah, and similarly other religious people do that. So the religion of your professional life calls for this book. So if you have to read this book every day for some time and understand these things, it happens it has happened to me that I read a chapter at some stage in my life, and I read the same chapter after 5 years or 3 years, and the way I understood the concept is totally different. Because your life experience works as a carrier signal to amplify the modulating signal which is there in the book. If you understand what I mean by carrier signal and modulating signal in telecommunication, right? So this is what I wanted to share. You have to live your dream. This is me reading the book with my son, How to Think Like a Manager. And very very I'm very grateful to Luke Ahmad to produce such a book. It's really helpful. I will say I'm just not doing any promotion here, but this is what I am speaking from my own personal experience. I hope this video is useful. I will summarize the key takeaway. The key takeaway is make your primary reference material very selective, and only one book at a time to prepare that for the exam. And once you finish the book, or finish the book in totality, and you can refer other book, but the primary book should be only one. Practice the question from this app, which is available on iOS, iPad, Android. Fantastic app. Make your own notes. It will help you to own the information which you get, the book which you read. It will really help you. And then go for the exam. What will happen in the exam? Now, when you are going for the exam, keep your mind free. Don't take any tension. But if I say this to anyone, people, it's like saying to a soldier who is going on border to fight enemy, don't fear. I know this do not work, but just think that this is not the end of world. When I was going for the exam, I was just thinking that, okay, this is my first attempt. I may have to go for second, third attempt. And that thinking actually gave me, like, in networking, we put a default route 0 by 0 to some gateway. That was my default route. Okay, I have already set a default route on my thought process that I'm not going to pass in the first attempt. This is just for the practice. And with that free mind, I started doing questions. And yeah, time management is important. Don't waste too much time on any question which is taking too much time. Go with your you know best gut feeling. Like if you are on border online, I did NCC, and I did lot of uh, uh, you know I operated some .22 rifles as well. So when you shoot a target, it's not all the time that you're 100% sure that you're gonna hit the target, but you have to be reasonably comfortable in hitting the target, right? So that's how the CISSP is. Take it as a game, and I think hopefully you will pass the exam. I hope you like this video. If you like my content, put a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I'm working on completing the whole CISSP course in a good interactive way, and I'm improving myself day by day as a YouTube content creator, with all your blessings. Thanks for watching the video. Let's see you in the next video.